I got one question before I really jump into it. How many people like to do anything on an empty stomach? How many people like to have a full stomach whenever they do anything? Maybe go to work, whether they study. How many people like to have a full stomach? Anybody? Can I see show of hands? Full stomach.
Full all the way.
Full all the way? Nobody likes to do anything on an empty stomach, right? You like to do things on an empty stomach. You like to do something on an empty stomach. I meant all things, no, nobody, okay. The vast majority of the things you like to do, you like to have a full stomach. You want to get it. True? Okay. Well, the title of tonight's message is Heaven's Kitchen. Not Hell's Kitchen, Heaven's Kitchen. Forgive me, I'm very thirsty. You know, somebody will understand why I'm very thirsty, but you know, jumping into the title of Heaven's Kitchen, why is this? Because, first of all, I mentioned how many people like to do things on a full stomach. And the reason being is because, you know, we all have a basic need, and that's to eat. Some of us eat more than others. Some of us can go longer without food than others. But ultimately, we all need to eat. Food is something that is very essential to us. You know, if you don't eat, you don't live. Very simple. Not much theological debate in that. You need to eat. But the thing is, the same thing applies spiritually. And I think that's where the problem tends to be. See, physically, we have no problems eating. You know, there are people that you will not get them to do anything until you feed them. So, you know, for example, I'm one of the people that if I have not eaten, I don't like to be around anybody because I'm in a grouchy mood. Until I get some food, then we can talk. Kind of like the, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. Don't talk to me until I've gone to Hungry Bear. Don't talk to me until I've been to Chicken Kitchen. Don't talk to me to that point. But once I've eaten, we can do something. But spiritually, you may not be able to tell that somebody hasn't eaten spiritually, at least not in the obvious. Obviously, if I stop eating, I'm going to lose a lot of weight, you're going to be able to tell. But spiritually, you may not necessarily know until the moment it is needed for them to do something of the spiritual. They can't do it because they're spiritually starved. So, we can all turn to Matthew chapter 14. And when you're there, say amen. A lot of tonight's message is in Matthew. There's a few verses that are not, but the majority of it is. So, even going back to the Change the World conference, you know, we all have dreams of what, you know, we want God to do through us, or the type of work that we want God to do. But in order for these visions to happen, one of the main things in Change the World was, in order for you to change the world, you need to be changed. And spiritually, in order for you to bless others, you must have received something first. In other words, in order to feed others, you have to properly be fed. Amen? If we look at Matthew chapter 14, and everybody knows this, this is, you know, 5 loaves and the 2 fish. I'm not even going to jump around as to what it is, or keep you guessing, but there's something that a lot of people don't catch. And God struck my attention with it. And we start in verse 14, it says, "And when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion for them, and healed their sick. When it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, 'This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away, that they may go to the villages and buy themselves food.' But Jesus said to them, 'They do not need to go anywhere. You will give them something to eat.' And they said to him, 'We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish.' He said, 'Bring them here to me.' Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples. And the disciples gave to the multitudes." I'm going to stop there before I get to the main point. Notice what Jesus says. He says, they don't have to go anywhere. You will be the one to give them something. What he's saying is that, listen, you don't need to rely on somebody else to give these people what they need. You have what you need to give them what it is that they're hungry for. You know, this is something that God gave me while I was up preparing some little last minute, what I like to call audibles. Because if anybody's familiar with football, just sometimes the play needs to change. But too often we rely on the people that we see might have some type of rank or some type of, they're elevated, or they have some kind of quote-unquote powers, which in reality, there is no power. The only power is through Jesus. The thing is, if people are plugged in to the source, power will come through. The problem isn't that some people are special and they have all access to this. Anybody can have access to it. You just need to be plugged in. So when he says, you will give them something to eat, it's not, listen, you know, Pastor, come with me. I need you to come share a word with this person so they can get saved. Or, you know, listen, you know, you preach once in a while on Saturday. You know, I need you, you know, it's okay to ask for guidance. It's okay to ask for suggestions. But ultimately, the people that are, quote unquote, have rank, you don't need them. Whatever Jesus has given you, that's all you need to feed the others. Now the question is, have you eaten enough? Verse 20. So they all ate and were filled, and they took up the 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. And those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. The besides meaning not including. So apart from the 5,000 men, there were Lord knows how many women and children that were also fed. They performed an amazing miracle, taking 5 loaves and 2 fish and feeding a multitude of people. But what did they do before they fed these people? They ate themselves. They took the food that Jesus had to offer them, and they ate. Because if you don't prepare spiritually, you can't. You have no chance doing anything, doing any type of spiritual work for the Lord. And you see, food is something we all need. We all need to eat. We all need to receive something. If you're not eating right, how are you going to perform? You know, you ask anybody who likes to work out or likes a lot of physical activity, they'll tell you, listen, a large part of it is not just what you do in the weight room. It's not what you do on the track. It's what you put in your mouth. That's where it all begins. If you put something that is going to kill you or is not healthy for you, doesn't matter how fast you think you can run, it's not going to work. True or not true? Anybody, any of my physically fit people know what I'm talking about?